so we'll do a roll call for attendance. Usually they call it off, but I guess we don't have that option anymore.
Right. Vicky Perriman here.
Jason Arlo here.
Lynn Surdy here.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing. What we have before us today, or tonight, excuse me, is a variance request of, this is for 294 Martindale Court, Cottrellville, Michigan. And the variance petitioner is Karen Baird, I'm sorry, thank you. Karen Baird, thank you. And the request, the variance request is 1.5 inches on the yard setback, variance of second story, and variance of 4 feet in height. So, just trying to read this, above the 16-foot allowable. Okay, thank you. So the property owner is Karen. Would anyone here like to speak on behalf of Karen's request?
Can I speak?
Sure, you can. Please please would you come up to the microphone, give me your name, address, and comments, please.
My name is Karen Baird. I am the owner of 294 Martindale Court. I'm here for a variance for the setback. At the east end of the garage, we are not in the setback. But if you measure off the stake at the middle of the back of the garage, we're 1.5 inches, and at the west end, we're 4 inches. So it was never our intention to be in the setback. I cannot explain why we are. We did want to put the building back as far as possible because we're at the end of the lane, and we didn't want to obstruct any view of the road or any ability for people to turn around at the end. So we did set it back, intending it to be just 3 feet. But we are in the setback. So I'm asking for that variance. I'm also told I'm here for the building height, which you mentioned. I have a voicemail I'd like to play for you. Mary Agnes and Bill Clausen, who were the previous administration, gave permission for us to finish the building.
Hi, Karen. This is Mary Agnes from the township. It is 11:40 on Monday, the 28th. You left our office a few minutes ago. I went through everything very thoroughly with Bill, and it would appear that because you're not exceeding the height of the bonus room over the garage, but it's considered storage and not living space, and it's not as tall as it would have to be in order to be a full story. We're going to let you do that, and there will be no ZBA meeting, and save your money. Now you can pack your bags and head south. And when you return, you can pull the stop work order off, and then when you return, begin again in the spring if you want. Or yet this fall if you want, but I just wanted you to know when I went through everything real thorough with him, he realized that.
That's the end of the recording, whether it's supposed to be or not. Anyway, that was on October 28th. I went to the township supervisor and building inspector, Bill Clausen, with 8 copies of the plans, which you have, with the intention of coming to a ZBA meeting, and filled out the form for that. I was told that she would get a date, I'd come in and pay for it, and we'd come to the ZBA board. Later that day, shortly after, she left me that voicemail. So I followed those directions as they were given to me. I started to build my building higher because after the ZBA meeting on May of 2023, when you gave me the variance for the footprint, thank you very much, I appreciate that. several of my neighbors walked up to Mary Agnes, Wendy, Lydia, my closest neighbors there, and asked, since we couldn't go bigger, as we had originally planned, would we be able to go higher? And she said, yes, they can go higher. The board is only concerned with the footprint. So I followed those directions, then made the plans, produced the plans for what we built. It's a beautiful building. I've got $85,000 in it already. It's gonna be finished just like the house with stone, and it sits back. It's not intrusive of the road, the view. It gives room for people to turn around because we are the end of the road. We use the garage to store a tractor that we use to maintain the road because we do not have county or city road service. Alex has already graded it, drug it 4 times in May. It needs it now and it's gonna rain. So it's like an every week kind of thing to maintain it. So the garage accommodates the tractor and the bucket and the drag, plus our other things that you have, household outdoor tools, lawnmowers, patio equipment, things like that. So I'm not sure I'm asking for a variance for the height. I feel like I've already been approved for that, and the incoming did not inquire. Incoming administration didn't inquire about whether it was already approved, and they red tagged it again. So I feel it'd be a hardship to take the building down. It serves a good purpose for me and for the community. I have a lot of things I'd like to say, but I think my 5 minutes might be up. I don't know. But you have pictures that show that there are 4 other buildings that are higher than mine that are 2-story. It's not that full height, and I don't know what else to say. Let me see. So I just feel like I've cooperated with the township as it's been explained to me what I could do. I wasn't intending to break any rules. And Bill Clausen came out and he said it's a beautiful building. It's built better than my house. It's a fort. It's very nice as far as structure. And we got electrical service to it, was approved after that. So we just feel like we should just roll on and finish it. All the materials are in the garage. It's a matter of a few weeks of getting a roof on, the rest of the siding and stone. That's where I'm at with it. Then the soffit, the gutter, the drains, covering up the grounds and bringing it back to normal. So.
Okay, I have a couple of questions I want to ask you, just so I'm trying to understand the timeline and everything. So I know we granted a variance a year ago.
2 years ago.
It was actually May
Okay,
23.
thank you, 23, so 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I assume at that point, did you have a building permit to start the construction?
Mm-hmm. We had all our permits.
Was it at this building with that height with a dormer and everything on it?
No, I had to produce new plans for that.
Right, but was that submitted?
Not to the board.
No, to the building department?
Oh, yes.
And it was
Bill Clausen and Mary Agnes reviewed the plans with us on the 20th of October. It took me 9 weeks to get the plans. Stephen Whittakin was the designer. He came out and actually shot so it's exactly, what you have is exactly what the building is. Other than that breezeway that he put in there, Steve Whittakin thought we might want to consider that. I crossed it out in initial. That's not part of our plan. We are not doing that.
Okay, can you clarify so that you were here on 9/1/23, which we did granted your original variance, which did not say anything about a second story, correct?
May 23rd of 2023, I think, wasn't it?
No,
September?
I
September.
believe you were here September
Yep,
14th of 2023.
yep. I have that in front of me.
Okay,
Right.
that was the original one.
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, the plans were not for the second story. But now you're saying that 10/28/23, your builder then came with new plans? Was that the correct
I
date,
produced-
10/28/23?
I produced the plans as it was built, yes, and on.
I'm just trying to have you verify the date that you did that. Was it 23?
Oh, no, that would have been 10/23 of 2014, 2024, sorry.
Okay, 10/14 of '24.
I have it here. It's October 28th of 2024, when we produced the plans. And there's a letter that was sent to me on 8/15/2024 from the Cottrellville Township Building Department asking for those.
Okay, so in the 1 year from the original, I didn't mean to step in on it,
No,
but
no,
from
I
the
think
original
it's a-
day you were
Yeah,
here
timeline.
to when you did this again, was there any construction done?
There was construction underway up until 8/15 of 2024. We didn't start it in '23, we started it in June of 2024. So in 8/15 of 2024, I got the letter saying, it appears, it's come to our attention that you're putting a second story on the garage, and that you are building located at the above address. Please be advised that you need to submit new plans, since the previous ones do not include a second story.
Okay, so I guess then my question is, so when you started building, you didn't build with your original plan, you started building already with the second before there was approval, correct? Even before who you're saying,
We got a verbal approval from Mary Agnes.
but it was started,
No, after this meeting that I had in 2023,
right?
my neighbors approached Mary Agnes, I think she was acting as secretary.
I guess I'm trying to get back to the dates of, this is when we said, we approved what you asked. When did you actually start the building, and was the building done with the original plans that you submitted to us?
The original plans are not what we built. In July, we started building. According to the direction of Mary Agnes, we were allowed to go higher, and the plans were produced to show what we were building.
Did they, when you submitted the plans for the higher building, did you get did they, other than the verbal, did you have a building permit for those plans? They approved it?
I have permits issued for electrical, sewer, water, structure, footings.
No, I think where Jason's going with this.
Okay.
Originally, the building permit that was issued for this structure was this drawing, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did you get a revised building permit for the second story structure?
No new permits were submitted. I was just given permission to go ahead because I produced the plans.
And, okay, and I know this is not part of the variance request, but I just think it helps me understand.
Right.
Understand how you got that approval to proceed without really, so, so you were told to submit new plans, which you did, which are these plans, correct?
Yes.
Was there any inspections performed and approved after you had these plans?
The electrical?
Anything on the building, like the footings or the framing or anything?
Bill Clausen came out and inspected the building, yes. And then electrical was also
And it was
approved
built,
by
it was built to these
Cottrellville.
plans at that time,
It was started.
and you got approval on those inspections.
We got the go-ahead from Bill and Mary Agnes on 10/28.
Okay, I guess the go-ahead is, you had nothing in paper. It was just all verbal?
I had the plans in front of me and in
No,
front of them.
when you're saying you have to go ahead, was it something that they gave you in writing? Did like, the permit that, other than you're saying this was the verbal issue that what gave you the permission to go, but was there the permit or some, something in paper to verify?
On 10/28, when we met with them, we did to scale measurements,
Okay.
and discussed it with the
And there was
prints out
there was inspections performed
after.
and they were approved. Or-
I,
or they did
Bill
not.
inspected it, but there was a transition going on there. No, I never got a stamp, if you will.
Well, they put the green
seal.
sticker.
Yeah.
No, yeah, like the green sticker on the electrical or whatever.
Yeah, we got that.
So there
Definitely have
was
that. That was in
inspections and they were-
July. Yep.
That was after this,
There was electrical, I put the electrical in, we got approval, I had a service planner come out.
could you just give your name? I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to get your name and, for the record, please.
I live at 294 Martindale, my name's Donald Alexander Thompson.
Thank you.
I did the electrical for Karen, I live there. I called a service planner from DTE out and to inspect it, to see what we need to do. We were to put underground service in. So we agreed on that, so I went ahead and started digging the trench over to the pole. And I couldn't finish it because my neighbors were filling my trench up with water. So I stopped. The next couple days later, I went to continue with a trench. And Karen went out and put a tarp so nobody would see me digging a trench. Well, Carolyn Heimback came out with a stick and batted it down. So Karen says, just put a piece of plywood up there. So I went up, put a piece of plywood up there and continued on. And David Heimback come out with a chainsaw and cut my plywood right above my head. And I know I'm getting to it.
I gotta keep this.
I know, but this is going towards, so, just a minute.
Okay, well.
So now we can't,
Please,
we can't,
Thank
now, they wouldn't allow DTE for us to attach the service to that pole. We had to move down and put a new pole in. And I said, well, can we change it from an underground to an overhead? So he said, yeah, we can do that. So we used the existing service that went to the house, then I changed it from underground to an overhead, and we attached to that. In order to do that, I was an electrical contractor. In order to do that, the electrical inspector had to approve it, and the building department had to approve it to the building. So the building was okay to put the service on. And we have a green sticker on the meter that said that.
Okay,
So we have service hooked to it.
The township was out, inspected the building,
Yes.
approved it after it got taller and they had the
I
plans.
called for
Okay,
inspection.
I'm just trying to figure this out, so I have in my head a clear line.
But
of
we
how
ended
this
up going
happens, so
with an
thank you.
overhead instead of an underground
Okay.
like they normally do now.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Karen?
I could speak to the garage and, just that I'm invested in wanting to complete it, and
So I guess, we'll have to know clearly, I just wanna make sure that we have this right, because you did mention you're not sure if you're requesting a variance for this. I mean, we will need to know that. It says here in the application that you are. The reason we need to know that, because eventually when we, make a decision, we'll have to know what we're actually making a decision on.
the current administration didn't acknowledge that it was okayed, and didn't inquire, and they red tagged it.
Okay,
So there was verbal and written requests for prints. I think you guys might have this. This is from, may I approach?
sure, yeah, please, no problem. So are you or are you not asking us for, we know that, I got the dimensional, right? You have an inch and a half, and, but what, I don't, because we're gonna, eventually come to a decision on what you're asking us, so I need to know,
This is when they asked for the blueprints, and it took 9 weeks to get them, so it was October 28th before I actually was able to complete that request. So, and then it was approved. So,
Okay, but from this letter, you started it before it was approved.
yes,
Okay,
we did
Yeah.
start to go higher because we were told that we could go higher.
well, but,
But we did not produce the prints till after that letter. You're right.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I just so that you can verify the facts? It's
Please.
From what I hear, Karen, you are saying that you believe that you got approval to go higher based upon your neighbor's conversation with
Here,
mayor.
in this form.
What form and what day? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Okay.
It's a day that,
On the 23rd, when we first came to you for the footprint for our garage, Mary Agnes was sitting here after the meeting. I thanked you for your consideration. We walked over there, and Wendy and Lydia, my closest neighbors, asked if we weren't allowed to go farther bigger, could we go higher? And Mary Agnes said, yes, they can go higher. They're only concerned with the footprint. And I took that as, go higher.
So you, then you went higher, you got this letter
Right
and
after the
submitted.
ZBA meeting that was held here.
Yes.
So it would be right after the
The
August.
20th or September.
September 14th of
Be
23.
September 14th of '23.
So, I mean, I followed the rules as I believed I could.
Well-
I wasn't trying to break any rules.
Then you got this letter and resubmitted plans.
Yes, I did.
And after that, you had inspections. And then when the new building official came, he red tagged, he stopped the construction.
Okay.
Is that the kind of the timeline, or am I misunderstanding it?
That's correct.
Okay,
Okay.
I believe that the new building inspector
No,
is here too.
okay, yeah, thank you, okay.
Okay,
I'm just
I-
trying to
Okay.
get this, I'm trying to get, this is a lot.
Well,
This
this
is more
was
than just
your
a,
original-
it's a lot more information than
original
a dimensional variance.
Honestly,
So I'm just trying to figure
I
this
have
out.
all the original plans and all of my original notes and the minutes from
Yeah,
that,
that's what that is. That's all
meeting
that
in
is.
September. I guess what I'm saying is that, for me personally, I can see that what we agreed to in September of '23, September 14th of '23, when you did start the construction, you went ahead, contrary to what we said, one story of that factor, and went ahead, and it was then this letter on 8/15/24 that Bill Clausen sent to you to say, it has come to our attention.
Right.
Okay, so they
So it-
probably did a stop order at that point? But at that point, you had already started it, correct?
We started it in July to start us.
The second
building
story
higher.
of going up, okay.
Building higher.
All right,
I
I-
don't call it a second story, it's a walkable attic, you
It's-
can't live in it, it's just
How high,
east to
how high
west,
is it
there's a.
inside there?
Inside of it? How
From the
high?
floor.
Floor to ceiling?
It has
You can stand in it.
sidewalls, and it goes up. It's not, it's a walkable attic, it's not a livable space.
There's a wall built at the highest point from east to west at the rafter, at the highest point.
I honestly, I came out,
Okay.
you know that my
She was-
history is,
she was
I
present.
came out and viewed
Okay.
it.
Yes, I
Okay.
did too.
So,
So we viewed it.
Oh, okay, good, I'm glad you got to see it.
I mean, those are the biggest garage doors that I've ever seen.
I did not look inside. I would
No.
have liked to went upstairs just to see what is the measurement from floor to, I guess I would call them the collar ties, I guess. Am I using that term correctly, Jason? That would tie upstairs
Sure.
together?
You can stand in the dormer, because there is a dormer that matches the house.
Okay.
And you can stand up against, she was there also. We had a site inspection. When was that? May 2nd of this year. So,
So I do think your building official's here to tell you what
yeah,
measurements.
okay, thank you. So, anything else for Karen?
Not really.
Okay,
Not at this point, let's put it that way.
all right. Did you wanna,
Only if you guys have any questions.
And you need to introduce yourself.
So Nick Doherty, the new building official for Cottrellville. When I went and measured their building, it was, the second story was 11 foot, or 7 foot 11 inches from floor to ceiling for that second story. 7 foot is livable area, considered livable area. Their height, they're actually 4 foot above the allowable height. And when we go to the height, we go to the center of the mean, which would be the center of the truss, right? So at that point, our allowance in the township is 16 foot. They're at 20 foot to the center of their mean. So they're 4 foot above the allowable at that point. The setback is 1.5 inches beyond where they're supposed to be on the 3 foot setback for the side yard. And, sorry, I'm a little nervous.
that's okay. No, you're doing good. You're doing great. Don't worry about it.
So whether or not, Bill or Mary Agnes let them know that they can
Yeah,
continue.
that's not your concern. You don't,
That's,
you weren't even.
you know,
It wasn't part of you.
I'm trying to do things the right way. As far as anything in the system, there has not been any inspections on the building portion of that garage.
Okay.
There may have been on the electrical. I don't believe the plumbing, if that was correct.
Bill was out.
So,
Any
so
footing inspections?
I don't believe that even the footing inspection was even done on that one. I would have to double check on the BSNA system, but as far
At
as
least
the
not in the
framing,
system.
no.
But it is 7'11" to the bottom of what I would call collar ties.
Right, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Since you've become a building inspector here, have you put a stop order on it?
Yes.
Do you know what date that was?
Off the top of my head, no, I don't.
Just the month, year?
It was about a year ago. It was after the framing was pretty much complete on that building. Once we figured out it was two
Okay.
stories going up. I brought it to Bill's attention and he had me put the stop work order on there.
Okay, so you were like working with Bill Clausen?
At the time, yes.
At the time,
Yep.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of Karen?
Yes. My name's Dennis Basinski. I live at 6957 South River Road. I've lived at my present location for over 40 years. And in the last 40 years, I've seen a lot of things happen at Martindale Court. I've seen people living in sheds being used as living spaces. I've seen houses torn down, burned down. I've seen them brought in on semis. There have been a lot of changes, but in the last 15 years, there has been a great deal of improvement. There's been a lot of variances given. One of our former supervisors bought and remodeled and built homes with variances from the gracious township of Cottrellville. In the last 10 years, the remodeling and updating of homes has been dramatically increased. It's starting to look like a neighborhood instead of just houses of rental homes. In the last 2 years, or 3 years, there's been a couple homes that were built. There's 4 homes that are larger or taller than the garage that is there. And from my perspective and what I see coming up and down my driveway, it does not deteriorate or take away from vision of the river or any other component parts that people would want in their neighborhood. The garage, I believe, is very well built. I was there watching them build it, just as I looked at the home that was currently under construction, that variances were given for width, height, depth, and property line. So from my vantage point, I do not see anything that, even that inch and a quarter, which is probably as white as some of your noodles that you eat on a good Italian dish. The construction is well built. Of all that is happening there, it's increasing property values. There are some other concerns that I could voice, and I am going to do that. Number one concern is there's a lack of a seawall there. And the last time I was here, the last 2 times I came before the board and talked about it, they did an inspection of the sanitary sewer that runs from Avalon Beach, or Avalon Community, northward, all the way to Martindale, and proceeds north of Martindale, and then runs east-west to the road. That sewer system was found to be leaking water. Where's that water coming from? It's the erosion that's happening at the seawall. And we talked about getting the township involved with the people who live there on improving the lot line.
May I, sir, I appreciate, that's probably something you'd want to take up with the board of
I know.
trustees. If it's
That's
not
why
relevant to this.
that's why I'm telling you, because I've seen so
Okay,
many
thank you.
variances come in, and I don't see anything that impedes the value of the surrounding, community there.
Okay.
Other than that, and then my other thing, and I will take it to the board.
Yeah, I think that probably,
And,
we wouldn't be able to do anything
because
here
we're
about
supposed to
that.
be a community,
Yeah.
a community of free-spirited people,
Okay,
and we aren't separatists. So
Thank
we
you.
try to work together.
thank you, appreciate it. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in favor of Karen?
That's in favor of.
In favor of, in favor, anyone else?
There's one letter.
Was there a couple letters? I was gonna.
Yeah, there's a couple, but there is one that's in
Maybe
support.
we'll do them
This
all.
one?
Maybe we'll just do them all at the end.
Okay.
After we, okay. So anyone else in favor that would like to speak? Name and address, please.
Sure. Dave Swantek, 6951 River Road. I'm south of the property, one house over, obviously on the river. Just wanted to echo what Dennis was talking about. Anything that improves Martindale improves my property values. So I would be in favor of just letting them continue the way that it is, because some of the homes, they need a little work. And with anyone on Martindale that's trying to improve the property, I'd be all for it.
Thank you, appreciate that, thanks. Anyone else in favor of Karen? Okay, with that, is there anyone who is not in favor of the request? Would you please come up and name, address, and comment for the record?
David Heimbach, 6929 River Road. I live just to the north. When he went and had his place surveyed to put the cement in, I told him the fence line is not the property line. He measured off the fence line is not the property line. That's how it all started. I didn't say anything about the electrical line. The Edison people told me they can't put underground cable next to a chain link fence because of electricity problems. It might get the fence electrified. So they were the ones that told them that they couldn't put the electric underneath, not me.
Okay.
He's talking to me, I'm talking to him.
Well,
It's not
I'd like
my
to keep
problem.
this- Yeah, so let's
And
keep it to the, yeah.
If he's allowed to go higher than anybody else, why can't I build something like that? If he can break the rules, so can I. It's only fair, right?
Okay, is that,
That's
anything
it.
else, sir? Thank you, appreciate it, thank you. All right. Please.
Carolyn Heimbach, 6929 River Road, just north of Karen and Alex. They're too close to the lot line. They're supposed to be 3 foot. They're only 2 foot 8 inches. They never measured like they were supposed to. They thought they knew it all. And I want them the 3 foot away from my property. They shouldn't be allowed to build wherever they think they can build. They have to go according to the ordinance, just like everybody else has to. Okay?
Anything else?
I have a picture here of his electrical work, if you'd like to see it.
I'm not an electrical inspector, thank you though.
Well, just to show you what kind of electrical he did, as he tied it to our cyclone fence.
I'm not here to comment on that, but I thank you though, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak not in favor of the request? No? Okay, we did have a few letters, typically we will.
Sure.
I think there was a few in here actually, I think.
Okay.
Ones I had. Thank you.
Okay, Cottrellville Township and the ZBA. I am a homeowner on Martindale Court. First, I'd like to emphasize we live on a one-car lane with a mixture of 12 cottages and homes. The structure at 294, the garage, I'm sorry, I can't make out, they call it it must be some nickname in the neighborhood, I'm sorry, I can't make out what that is. It looks completely out of place on our lane. They were approved, and a two-car garage, or they approved and put up a two-car garage and put up what they wanted. A survey was never done, hence them being over on the neighbor's property. Excuse me. Not to mention, they had no inspections on anything they did. I believe they thought if they completed enough of the structure, nothing would be done about it. They are in no way above the rules and regulations. This was by Kimberly Blackar, 354 Martindale. The next letter is to the ZBA board. I have two homes on Martindale Court, number 2 at 295 and 329. I am in support of granting a variance for the proposed side and rear setbacks and as-built height variance of 23 feet. There are neighboring accessory buildings within 500 feet that are taller than the 23 feet. This is signed by Mark Penrose. The next letter is to whom it may concern, which again was addressed to the zoning board. I own two properties on Martindale Court. 295, which is directly adjacent to Miss Baird's, and 329, which is behind my home at 295. I finished building 295 in July of '24. I was aware of the same ordinances and variances required to build a home on that street that had been violated on Miss Baird's property. I considered that maybe she did not fully understand the written rules. However, I do recall Miss Baird writing and maybe even attending the multiple meetings held when I asked for approval for my variances. Therefore, I had to rule out that consideration, as for this fact alone proves she fully understood the codes. The current structure garage for a one-story limits it to 16 feet. She has constructed a building at 23 with 7-inch ceilings. Clearly, this is a second-story built with full intention to be used as a two-story. There is no argument that could make any sense. The newly submitted revisions of adding a breezeway just adds more insult to injury from my neighboring home's perspective. Regarding her request after the fact is not a fair practice nor a precedence that this board should establish. Why have ordinances and codes if we can pick and choose which ones we feel like following? I think Ms. Baird needs to make the street whole again by following Cottrellville Township's ordinances as established. I cannot speak for the rest of my neighbors, but Ms. Baird's resistance, defiance, entitlement, and blatant rudeness does not intimidate anyone. This is sincerely signed by Denise Penrose. And I think those were the three. Yes. Okay, I think that was it of the letters.
Okay, all right,
I think that's yours.
thank you. All right, at this time, I will close the public hearing. It is 7:38, and we will now go into Board of Appeal member discussion.
I think that's yours too, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So, okay.
Nick, when you were in there, did you go inside the structure?
I did.
Is there anything in there, what other plumbing is in the structure itself? I noticed there's a gas line that goes to it.
Looks like there's a toilet on the first floor. They got a toilet flange in the cement.
In the
itself,
cement,
the
okay.
slab. So, other than that, I'm not sure what they have planned on doing in there.
Okay.
So, Karen, one more, I need to know what variance you're requesting. I know like I said, the application says it's for, the setbacks, but it also said for the height. I just want to be clear, because I know you said you were didn't know or weren't necessarily requesting that, so I do need to know that, because I can't, we're gonna make a decision on what the request is. Is that a request at this meeting? It says so in the application.
Yes, it does.
So, but what you said earlier, that's why I just wanna make that clear so we know, what we're deciding on here.
I'm not sure how to respond to that.
Well, she was approved for it, which I guess she's asking for it. I mean, but we had a voicemail saying that she was approved, but then I think they're saying she isn't approved, so she's asking for a variance.
Okay, so we are, okay, thank you. That, I just wanted to make sure we, had that clarification. So there's two variance requests, one, well,
It looks like there's three of them.
three, yeah. There's the 1.5 on the yard setback. This one has 2, so that's a little confusing.
Do you need, you don't have any of your copies here that you filed? This would be when you, on 4/28/25, when you filed with the township, and you wrote on the bottom. That's what he's referencing, what you're here for.
Yeah, variance of 1.5 on the yard setback, variance of a second story, 4 foot in height.
In height, above the 16
But-
allowable.
Yeah, but there is another one, right? Where's the, isn't
4
there?
inches?
4 inches, yeah, where's that? That one's not on here.
No, 4 feet.
Oh, it's 4 feet, okay. So there's just the 1.5 side, or excuse me, the 1.5 yard, and then the second request is for the second story of 4 foot in height. Is that correct? Do I have that right?
Is that correct, that you're asking for three?
No.
Three.
Can I clarify something?
Please.
Your ordinance states that no detached accessory building, shall exceed 20 feet in total height. Accessory buildings, it's basically says two stories or 20 feet. So it's kind of like a combination. Are you considering it a second story, or is it above the height limit? It can't be a second story and/or higher than 20 feet. Is that correct? Nick? Is it?
Let me come over and see what you have. Because we got two different height limits here. One is for
You should, let you turn off just the podium.
2 acres.
Maybe, but she probably shouldn't sit up here with us, but.
Glass shall exceed 1 story or 16
Right,
feet.
exactly, that's what you're asking for. So it says, no detached accessory building shall exceed 1 story
Right,
or 16 feet in total height.
right,
So it's kind of like, that's the variance that she's asking for,
okay.
4 foot height.
the 4 foot height.
Right.
And/or you're considering it a 2-story. I mean,
Well,
it's kind of like, it,
yeah, there's 2 there. There's 2 in that same, there's 2 packed into that same one, right?
right,
There's
shall exceed 1 story.
the fact, is
Or-
it or is it not a
Is it or
2-story?
is it more than 1 story?
Yes.
Or is it, or it's obviously more than 16 feet.
Yes, so there's 3. 1.5?
Yes, 1.5, and
Is it-
I guess you could
is it-
clarify your reasonings, that would be a nice
Yeah.
thing to do it.
1.5, is it or is it not a second story? And then we know it's above the height.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah,
Can I speak again?
Sure.
I, just for a fact, I cut it here, open that up. But, the back of the garage, which is the north side, the east end, we are not in the setback. Then at the stake, there is a survey stake, and we had a survey done that we used when we bought the house. It was probably 12 years old. We've had a survey done since then, it's the same. But, we used the marker, survey stake to measure, and gradually that building went from not in the setback to 1.5 inches in the setback at the back of the garage, to the west end being 4. So 1.5 at the center of the back of the garage is what we're into the 3-foot easement. And,
but so,
it's all
but
at the
where,
back of the garage.
where's it
Still our
at? Where's
problem.
it, 4 inches?
4 inches at the far west end.
So the west
So the
end.
east end's not, and then the building.
The west end,
angle
the west
to
end is 4 inches.
4 inches in, middle point, 1.5 inches. So that's
Well,
what that is.
Is this the red top stake that we're speaking of that has a green fence post and looks like a piece of lath next to it with a,
Yes.
There's a survey stake there.
correct, directly in the back of the garage, yes.
okay,
Yeah.
so,
But it's not the fence he measured off, it's a survey stake.
so the,
There was no survey stake there when we did it.
okay, we're gonna,
There was a
not, we're not gonna
survey
start,
stake,
we're not gonna
Okay,
start, we're not gonna
please.
start
We're not
this.
gonna go back and
So,
forth.
thank you, we're not gonna get into that, thanks. I appreciate it. So there's 4 inches on the west end, so it's really a 4-inch variance, right? They're 4 inches into the setback on the west end. Right,
I guess, right.
So it's not inch and a half.
right, that's what I'm trying to, yeah,
Correct.
it's 4 inches.
It's 4
That
inches.
wasn't published. It's for two.
Inch and a half.
Inch and a half.
So
Is
no,
this?
no, no, what's gonna happen is if we grant, I'm not saying we are, if there was a variance granted for 1.5 inches, then you go measure the end of the west end of your building, and it's 4 inches, you would still be out of compliance. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's why this is really important, that we understand exactly what we're doing. So if you're asking us for 1.5 inches variance, you're asking for 4.
Because it goes on an angle,
That's what I'm getting at. I just wanna make sure we're not back here in
it's inch and a half.
2
to the
weeks talking
center,
about this
And
again.
it goes out, and at the east end, it's in.
Yeah, so it's 4.
Fine,
So you're into the setback by 4 inches on the west
Yes.
side.
on one end.
Okay.
yes.
So it's 4 inches.
So when you built this structure, you based the back wall of this structure off of one pin?
There was,
We have
there was,
something.
there was a pin by the house. I measured to our house
Okay,
from the survey that David Little did, right before, like in 2014. I measured to the house, then I ran a line down the house and marked it. And it didn't come out exactly right, I guess. I don't know what happened, but it's straight with the house.
I think that's part of it, straight with the house.
I originally wanted to be 6 inches out of the setback is what I planned on doing when I did it. So we wouldn't end up like this, but we're here now. I wanted to be 6 inches out, and it didn't
Jason,
happen.
did you go over there and take a look?
I did.
Okay.
And it's-
On,
and it's
in this
my fault.
picture, you can see the difference in the depth on both ends.
Do you
Okay.
have the same builder that started this?
Pardon?
Do you have the same builder that started this construction?
Yes.
Because I noticed you have two different engineering firms that drew the prints
Yeah.
up.
Well, when we went back to get the new plans,
Chris Russell did the.
Russell was too busy to do it,
He referred us.
so he referred us to the other engineer to come out and do it for us.
Okay. So,
And that's why the change of
Then
engineer.
he offered to come to the ZBA meeting, but we didn't ask him to.
so I got this straight. I wanna make sure. We're looking at a 4-inch variance request, and that's particular at the west end.
Yes,
There's a 4-foot height variance request,
yes,
and then there's the second story. Is that it says here variance of a second story, so is that, I heard it was storage, I heard it could be, is there a variance request for a second story that we're considering? It says so on this application, so I just wanna make sure.
I really am struggling with to say that there's 2 separate ones because your ordinance reads 1 story or. So you would have to take that consideration. Do you consider that space above a 1 story? So be it. Or the variance with yes or no, and then, but it also can't be more than 20 feet. It's kind of like a combination. look at them when you're discussing it. It's one story or no more than 16 feet in total height.
Okay, so basically, we're combining the two bottoms.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
so that we're
But you
basically
can break
looking,
it up into your analysis.
right, but we're basically looking at doing that with,
And you can have a second story on an accessory building.
I think you can have something that is,
Second story.
no,
no,
Okay, that's what I'm getting at, right?
Right,
So,
right.
okay. So,
no,
So-
the ordinance says
You
that
get-
it's a one-story garage.
Or, yes, not above 16 feet, however
Right.
it's, I mean, I don't know, maybe it would be one big loft and it's not like a ceiling.
Right,
But,
See what
but
I'm
now,
saying?
if it was a combined structure with the house, that changes the whole,
yeah, that's a boat, yeah.
Well, that's
The
not
whole ball.
detached.
That's
This
not-
is
that's
just
not an
for-
being it's
That's not an
non-detached,
accessory building.
it has to be a single-story structure, correct? According to the ordinance?
I don't have the full ordinance right here. It says, this is a detached accessory building.
Yeah.
So it says, on lots of less than 2 acres. Shall,
I apologize, I probably should have introduced you in the beginning of the
right.
meeting.
huh?
Yeah, I didn't introduce you in the beginning of the meeting, so
You should do that.
maybe you should,
I'm Rosemary Davis, I'm Cottrellville Township attorney.
there you go, thank you.
So it says no detached accessory building in an A1, R1, RM1, B1 district with lots containing 2 acres or less. No detached accessory building shall exceed 1 story or 16 feet in total height. The word
That-
"or" is in there, so to me it means if there's no ceiling and it's just one like pole barn, it's 1 story, but it can't go over 20 feet.
Right.
So here now you have a ceiling, so to me, is it 1 story? But it's
I don't
different.
know, that's what I'm,
So that's what you have to,
So-
analysis.
But problem being, 7 foot 11 inches grants it that it can have living quarters above.
yeah.
you could.
Correct, Nick? Am I,
Nothing
am
else,
I,
it's a bonus.
Correct.
okay.
7'4" is what I am, but okay. On my sheet,
Nick, you measured it.
Yeah, it was, at the highest point, it was 7 foot 11 inches. At the knee wall, it was down to 3 foot. Technically livable is at 4 foot up. They could always bring that wall in, so, eventually they could make it a living quarters up there. Would they do it?
Well, we don't know, we can't speculate.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay. So we gotta so we're trying to decide if this thing is a second story or not.
Well,
I think from where I stand with it, it has a second story, and it could be living quarters at this point in time. That's the way I stand with it.
Because of the dimensions that they have.
Because of the dimensions, and like Nick said, okay, it's 3 foot out here, but with the pitch of the roof, how much would you actually have to come in with in order to be the 4 foot, Nick? Roughly. I'm not gonna hold you to it.
Probably just a couple feet. You come in.
Cause I mean,
You
that,
come in 2 or 3 feet, you'll have that 4 foot,
correct.
once you get that pitch, depending on the pitch of the roof and all that.
It is a pretty steep pitch, so I mean, the steeper the pitch, the less you would have to come in at that point.
Correct.
There is a supporting wall all the way down the center of the upstairs, divides everything right.
the inside of the story.
It's, you were up there, you saw the dividing wall. There was a dividing wall from one end to the other.
East to west?
Yes.
And the stairs comes up right at the middle.
Is there is a set of stairs
And the
going up
intent
there?
was just to have it for storage, because I'm 72 years old, I can't crawl onto an attic.
You can stand up.
I can stand up and up,
And there's stairs?
there's stairs going up there, so I don't have to have a folding stairway coming down and going up. My climbing days are over.
Okay. So do you wanna talk about these one at a time?
Yep.
Which one do you wanna tackle first?
Oh, I guess let's do
Yeah,
the
let's-
1.5, the easy one.
Well, it's 4.
It's actually 4 inches, yeah.
No, the variance of 1.5 on yard setback?
Yeah, it's 1.5 in the middle of the building, but we've
But
kind of
Oh,
figured
that's
it out.
not
At
four.
the end, it's a full
It
4
grows to
inches.
4, so,
Oh, yeah, okay.
my understanding is you're asking for 4
Just at one corner of the building, yeah.
at the west
We are.
corner of the building, 4 inches. Okay.
Which means that there's cement and everything.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Goodness.
Do you have it staked? You staked it yourself? You didn't have a surveyor stake this?
We just use the survey stakes that.
Right, but the ones that put the corners in for
the.
the building, you did
The
yourself?
day it was poured and the block were put in, we didn't recheck those. And we don't know why they're in, because we set them at 3.5 feet, 3 feet 6 inches. So I can't explain that part. I know one end is not in and the other end is.
42 inches.
I'm having a very hard time with hardship at this point.
I am too. I mean, it
That's-
is
I
a
mean,
big hardship, but
It is, but
it's gonna be a costly hardship.
it was, I'm seeing self-inflicted.
I have to agree with that, Lance.
I mean, this came before us, we granted what we granted, and I do have the original prints and everything else that was done. I just wish this would have been brought up at the meeting for the original garage, is what I wish. I mean, if, we
Are you
decide,
talking the 4 inches right now or the height or both?
I'm talking both.
I'm talking both, yeah.
I mean, honestly, I
I'm
can
talking
see from the voicemail I heard, you know, if, and I'm just playing, I'm looking at it from the other side here, you know.
You're playing the devil's
You
advocate,
get,
I
you get a
understand that.
voicemail from the supervisors that says, I talked to the building official, go ahead and start building your,
Okay.
But I
I'm not,
also,
I know the paperwork, yeah, I
That's
get it.
right.
That's why I was trying to ask if the permit was issued, et cetera, but,
Well,
okay, I think for an expense like this project has become, that you would definitely want a paper trail and be able to have all the permits so that if you came to the board with this problem, you'd be able to say, these were the paper steps that I've done and had gotten approval and so forth. I mean, it's really, I totally agree that the hardship is the fact that it has gotten to this point.
right.
Okay, but I totally have issues that it's gone this far. You know, with a stop order and, yet, if there was any confusion of any of it, I don't remember anybody approaching me or anybody from here approaching the people who sat here. And I thought when we originally did this in September of '23, we acted in fair play. We understood the issues that they needed and what we were trying to accommodate and help them with. And at this point right now, it has just embellished it to being this, I don't want to say mess, but this terrible,
This issue.
this issue. Financial, I'm sure emotional, et cetera, and it is very controversial. And it comes back to my job, I feel, as being on the zoning board, is that I do fair play, but I need to follow what the ordinances say. And that's what I did, and that's what I feel I have to do now. So,
One other question, Mr. Nick, I hate to quit picking on you.
okay.
But, when Mr. Clausen sent you out to do the posting of the stop work, what was his thoughts at this point in time? Did he say anything to the aspect of there being any sort of an agreement beforehand?
He never mentioned that, and then, actually, when he was kinda on his way out, you know, I talked to him about it and brought it to his attention, hey, Mary Agnes said, you know, they got a message that said, Mary Agnes said that you said that it was okay, and he said he never said that, so.
Yeah, well, that's here, yeah.
It's hearsay, I
Hearsay now,
understand,
yeah,
so-
but
And
I don't think,
I'm not,
I don't
I
think
just-
he
I
would have
want-
sent him out with a stop work order with possibly, if Bill would have put his 2 cents in, going the opposite way. I just don't see that.
Bill sent me out there knowing that it was over height. That was his original
Okay.
deal.
Anything else?
well, I think we've all kind of left our reasonings for decision. I guess I've stated what mine is. Again, I'm sorry, but I guess I just feel like I need to follow the ordinance. And because, it's, as Mr. Bazinski said, we're trying to make that street as a community. And obviously, there is dissension on both sides, in favor and not, and we need to kind of, given the ordinances to follow it, and I feel that in good faith, I have to do that. So at this point, I basically will make a motion to deny the request for the variance.
Is it for both?
For
I
both.
was gonna say, are we dividing that up, or are we gonna lump it together? How are we gonna do this?
I'm gonna say both because, I don't know how you fix the other one. I don't know how we're gonna do any of this, but I guess I'm just going to say, my motion is going to be for both variances.
For the 4 inches and also the 4 foot in height.
Well, right, for the second
Yeah.
story, right.
Second
That
story.
it retains it to the original that it was to be a one-story garage.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Any discussion?
Can I offer one suggestion?
You sure can.
So you can make a motion to deny, but I didn't know if you wanted to put any, like, findings of facts ahead, like, the reason why you're denying it.
You could, I guess, I think she did, but you could
But
say,
I'm-
you could
right.
restate it if
My
you'd like.
denying is basically the fact was that the original ZBA was for, it was for a single-story garage. And it was going to be, that we granted, let me find the original, what did we do that with? What was the property thing we did? I'm looking at what the feed, I'm sorry. you know what I'm trying to say? Remember when the original was 26 by,
File here if you'd like to. It's right here. There. This was, from 2023. This was for an area increase, I believe.
25% of lot coverage with structures on conforming lot of 10,200 square feet with water and sewer available. This is the second set of drawings prepared by Ms. Baird.
But I think it did,
okay. I'm sorry that my files are so disorganized here
there's
with
a
all
lot
this
of paper,
paper.
there's a lot of paper up here.
I thought I had a copy of the minutes.
Vicki,
You were just referencing what you originally granted.
yes.
Yes.
And I think, Lance, I don't know if this would be considered for the motion or not, Vicki, but, Lance's, I think your statement was that the hardship was, self-imposed.
I see it as being self-imposed, yes.
So, I think that might be an important point.
Right.
Yes.
Vicki, if,
Yes.
I think that'd be an
Because-
important point to add if that's.
I agree.
Just put
Okay.
it to your motion, so I'll let you.
All right, so granted, that I feel that the hardship was self-imposed. Sorry, as I'm pushing through all these papers, I think between us passing things, I probably have given you
So
anything.
there's a lot of paper up here.
Vicki, do you have the one dated August 16th of 2023?
I don't think so.
Take a look at that real quick. Because it's got a square footage thing that
Oh, okay. No,
was
I don't have
considered a
that.
variance also, back then. Because of the size of the garage compared to the size of the house.
Yeah, but I believe it was a variance for an area increase, which increased the square footage
Correct,
at that time.
correct.
That was it.
No, I
Yeah.
agree.
Okay.
For the lot coverage, right?
Correct.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
So I think we have a motion on the floor to deny both variance requests of the 4 inches on the west and also the, I'll put together, I guess, the second story and the 4-foot increase in height. For the aforementioned reasons, including self-inflicted hardship. I don't know, Lance, if you
I'll second it.
second it, okay. I guess at this point I'll take a vote, or roll call, I guess, I don't know if we,
Okay.
but, all in favor?
I
Aye.
say no.
No, to your motion,
Oh, to my motion, yes.
yes, okay, I'm yes,
Yes.
okay. I'm sorry, but the variance has been denied.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Sure, yeah, please, okay.
So you denied it correctly?
That's correct.
Okay. Can I move the building 4 inches over and be okay? I know I still got to lower it a little bit.
I think I would probably say you'd have to maybe get a sketch or a plot plan submitted and have the building department take a look at it. We don't review site plans, I guess. So
Okay.
if there's another dimensional or, conflict in the zoning ordinance, once you move it 4 inches, then you'd have to come back and ask us, unfortunately. So I don't know, enough about it that I wouldn't wanna comment on, so I'm sure he would probably take a look at the site plan and let you know that, so. Okay, I don't believe there's any conditions attached, so I guess, with that, any closing discussion?
I don't have any.
Lance?
This was a difficult hearing. It really was. It's difficult to do.
Yes, it is.
I just wish that the plans that were originally approved by us would have been followed through to the point where we wouldn't have this issue.
What happened was, it went up, her brother was a contractor with the builder, he's built hundreds of them. And Karen went around looking at different buildings, and she says, man, I'd like it to look like this. I'd like to look at that, look at the plans. I want windows in here. And it got out of hand, I guess.
I mean, without fully raising to the full 20 feet that was done, there could have been a dormer put on if you were looking for aesthetic reasons or something like that, as compared to doing what you totally did above, I guess is my way of putting it. Because in my, like I say, my other issue is, and I'm on the planning commission also, and when you do the 7'11" above, that just kind of opens the full door for living quarters above. And we have issues, or have had issues in the past, with your Airbnbs and stuff like that, or an add-on for an apartment, or whatever the case may be. And that's something that we're trying to stop to where we don't have this issue.
I understand.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
All righty.
Okay.